Hello everyone, welcome back to the stream. Sorry that I'm so dark, but it's dark outside here and I don't have the streamer ring light thing. I should probably get one, but you know, I'm living on a shoestring budget. I don't have time for video production. Expenses. But anyway, I've been working on Alchemortis basically all afternoon with a couple of breaks here and there. Mostly I've been working on getting a bunch of sound effects in place, and I've just been tightening a bunch of things up, fixing some bugs as they come up. So I figured, well, I'm going to keep working on Alchemortis for a little while longer, so might as well do some stuff. I'm kind of sick of working on sound effects, so we're going to do some other things here. This to-do list keeps growing because I keep finding issues to fix, but that's all right. So yeah, you can see that this is my running sound effects list that I need to get done prior to the playtest. And I've gotten through a lot of things. This list keeps growing too, but I've added a bunch of ambience, added some new music, and revisited a bunch of the sounds, trying to make them a little bit more chunky, more coherent, cohesive. So yeah, but on this stream, I think I just want to mess around a little bit. I've got some bugs that I need to fix, as well as I just want to try some polish elements here. And maybe if we're feeling it, we can add some new content as well. But we'll try to get through these things first and see how that goes. I'm not going to do any of the ads because I don't want to, but if you're interested in supporting me and the game, you could check out the links in the description below. Those are all the ways that you can do that. All right. Hello, Kid Yaz. Welcome. It's 4 a.m. here. Oh, wow. That's quite early or quite late, depending on if you're up, or if you just woke up or if you stayed up. Hello, Asymmetrics. Welcome. 5:44 p.m. You're only an hour behind me. It's 6:50 here, just about. 6:50. Hello, Wuius. Oh, wait. I'm coming in too hot. 1 second. Okay, that should be better. Sorry about that. I have to turn my mic up whenever I'm playing Arc Raiders so I can trash talk people properly, but then I have to turn it back down for my stream. Anyway, hello Clickertail, welcome, welcome. It's 8 p.m. here. Hello Dione, welcome. Firebelly being punctual as always. 11:44 p.m. here in the UK. I'm in a bad place. I could really use the distraction right now. I'm sorry to hear that, Willius, but you're always welcome to chill here and take your mind off things. Hope it's a nice vibe. 12:45 a.m. here in Germany. That's the right place. So many places have good vibes here. Yes. Hello, Emerson. Welcome. And look at this. Like clockwork. Here comes the cat. What are you doing? You're silly. You're silly. What are you doing? You're warm. Were you sitting by the vent? You're nice and toasty. You're very toasty, buddy. The cats, because they don't have fur, they fight over the spot near the vent, which outputs the most heat. And I have to listen to them screeching at each other the whole time. Anyway. Cute cat, thanks. Hello, pizza wearing pants, welcome back. Good to see you. All right, that's enough goofing off. So one thing that I was doing, so I was, I kind of want to have, let me see if I can phrase this properly. I need to make the game feel more like a game from a presentation standpoint, which means adding more, let me just make sure. That means adding more, sorry, I'm so scatterbrained right now. Adding more just animations and interactivity to just the game generally, right? Like with a game, you want things to be animated and bouncy and like not so static, right? And so there's a lot of static elements on the screen. One of those is the cards here. So as you hover over these cards, you get the tooltip, right? But then, you know, nothing really happens. So this afternoon I added just a tiny little sound effect for when you hover over a card, so that's a little bit of feedback there. But one thing that I want to experiment with is adding just like a little bit of a bounce animation when you hover over the card, and it can just be super quick, but I just want to make the cards feel like they're tangible in your inventory, like you mousing over them is kind of like disturbing them a little bit, and I think that's going to make the UI pop a little bit more. So that's one thing that I want to try, and we'll see how it goes. But, you know, this is all part of the polish, which is, you know, fortunately, polishing a game is actually, I won't say it's easy, but it's relatively straightforward. You don't have to do a whole lot of thinking about it because it's just throw an animation here, throw a particle system there, you know, have a sound effect here. It's much different than a kind of like in the weeds programming, so it's kind of nice just to take a break and do that kind of stuff. And it's also going to be useful because it's all part of the impression of the game that I'm trying to give players who play the playtest. So we're going to go to the card here. So this card class is a purely visual representation of the card. There's basically no logic in here. This is all just about playing the card visuals properly. So we've got this play drop animation here. We've got a tween there. Play trigger animation, play targeted animation. So one thing that I'm wondering is, do I need to start sharing tweens? Position root, create invalid shake tween. Animate displacement, displacement tween. So I think what I want to do actually is anywhere where I'm modifying this position root here. Oh, that's not good. Drag lock. I just need to figure out how this works. Deferred hover check. What the heck is this? Deferred hover check. Okay, so this is just the way that I'm detecting mouse events on the card. Okay. So again, one of the weird things about how these cards work is that to detect the mouse over the card, I actually create a bunch of little 16 by 16 control areas, or 18 by 18 rather. So if I do transform, so I end up having a bunch of these control nodes that are aligned like so. So I've got one here and I've got one there, but those are independently detecting mouse events. So I need to treat those as one unit. And that's kind of like what that deferred hover check is for. I have a mouse event stack that I push to. And then what I do on the deferred hover check is I look for the most recent event and then I do some logic based on that. That helps me determine when to emit that mouse signal exited and mouse signal entered. But anyway, that's beside the point. The one thing that I need to work on is the position root. Now, what I'm worried about here is if I have multiple tweens going at the same time, this position root could potentially be pulled in several directions by different tweens. So typically good practice, or at least what I do, is I have one tween that represents like the property that's being animated, and I'll kill that tween if I need to do a different animation with that same property. Oh my gosh, why is my voice going? Is my voice better yet? Why is my voice disappearing? Why does your cat look so evil though? That's just how they are, man. That's just how they are. Tweens everywhere. Hello, Moneybags. Competing my first game jam. I'm used to programming, but not used to game dev or art. Just finished up a course in Godot and wondering if I should try to improve my art or Godot UI skills. I think didn't you ask this question in the stream earlier today? Or am I confusing that with someone else? I did, but I had to work, sadly. Got pulled into a meeting. Oh, I see. I think art is a skill like the. So to rehash the answer that I originally gave, the most important thing is that you learn how to use Godot proficiently. The art you can learn at any point. Like, obviously the art is going to make a difference in the quality of your game, but probably in the order of priority is like mastering the Godot engine first, or not mastering it, but getting proficient in the Godot engine first as a priority, and then you could focus on the art. Because the proficiency in the engine is probably going to help you the most in a game jam. But of course, the art is also going to be a big part of it. So I would just say probably prioritizing familiarity with Godot first, and then you can focus on art. I mean, you know, you could do both at the same time too. It's not like they're mutually exclusive, but if you were to prioritize one, prioritize proficiency with Godot first. We will use tweens everywhere, twin. Why would you need multiple control UIs? Is it for the card placement? Because the cards are irregular shapes, and I need to be able to detect the mouse entering that irregular shape. But I'm also using the control nodes as a way of handling the mouse input propagation. So I can't really use a physics shape for that, because the way that the input propagation works is that physics areas are handled last in terms of the order of priority of events being handled. And I can't do that because I've got multiple layers of UI all stacked on each other. So at some point, the mouse event is going to be intercepted before it gets to the point where like a physics area could detect the mouse. So I can't use a physics area for using more complex mouse areas. So the next best thing is to create a bunch of control nodes that are the same size as the tiles, and put those control nodes over each cell that the card occupies, and then I can listen for mouse enter, mouse exit on each of those control nodes, and then through a little bit of management I can write some logic that handles those all as a single mouse enter, mouse exit entity, right? So that's the reason. There's probably other ways to do it, but that was the most straightforward way to do it for all the considerations that I had to make. That's fair. I see plenty of games made with lower level art, so it makes sense. Thank you. Yeah. And the reason I say prioritize Godot is because, like, when you're strapped for time in a game jam, a lot of that time early on, especially when you're not familiar with your tooling, is going to be struggling with the tools, right? Versus, like, when I go and work on a game jam, I almost never have a problem with, like, how do I implement this in Godot? Like, I know how to implement everything that I want to implement, and so I can spend most of my time on the art, the polish, the game design, and the tool is basically just like, it's the tool. It's not something that I'm actively learning, so it's not something I'm actively like burning time on, right? Can I help you, Kat? Can I help you? Is it Zoomy time already? Is it Zoomy time already? What? What is your deal? Every time I start, it's like without fail. Every time when I stream, it's cat attention time. Anyway, I need to figure out what to do with this position root here. So animate displacement. Displacement. What is my position root? It's here. I mean, I could just try it without play hover animation. I can try it without trying to kill the tweens and whatnot. Azir, come on. My goodness. Okay, var tween equals create tween. Are you coming? Come on. Okay, so we're going to create the tween, then we're going to tween dot tween position root, vector2 dot up. Let's just do times 2. Float duration, let's do 0.1. And then we'll do tween dot tween position root, vector2 dot 0, 0.1. All right, we'll just see what that does, and I'll see if there's any issues with that. I wonder if I could just put this in here. Hold on 1 second. Okay. Play hover animation. So I wonder if I can, let me go to my card mouse events manager. Card mouse entered, card mouse entered. I think this is just forwarding the signal on card mouse entered. Emit signal card mouse entered, yeah. Where's my animate? Oh, my animate displacement, okay. So maybe, let's see. I think I might be able to make this private. Add drag lock, remove, update mouse areas, disable mouse area. There's a couple of changes that I want to make here, but maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I shouldn't do that, but I kind of want to, instead of doing this add drag lock, remove drag lock here, I should probably just do a disable mouse areas. But I probably shouldn't mess with this because this is stuff that's already working, so I might as well not mess with that. Anyway. So here, let's put private void play hover animation like so. And then emit signal mouse entered here. We're going to do play hover animation. Okay, I don't know if that's going to work. Let's see. Okay, I think that works. It's just, it probably is a little bit too much. So I think what I can do is I can make this vector2 up so it just goes 1 pixel, and then I'll make it quicker. Let's see what that does. I'm so bad at pixel art, I need to get better, but every time I start it makes me so sad and I stop immediately. It can be discouraging for sure. It can be discouraging. But you just have to stick with it and trust that you'll get better. Do we like that animation? What does that look like if I go into a combat here, or just anywhere in general? Do I like that or no? Maybe twist rotate the card a bit too so the card jumps up and returns back to the position when it's hovered. I don't know if a rotation is going to look great, but we could try it. Might be neat if the sprites moved towards away from the mouse instead of repeating the same motion. Yeah, we could try that. Hello, Snupbill. Welcome back. Good to see you. Hello, Blair William. Welcome, welcome. We could try a rotation. Clean property, position root, property name, property name, dot rotation degrees. Let's just do like -5.05. Tween dot chain. I can make that dynamic too, so it's not -5 every time, but let's see what that does. But yeah, if the sprites moved towards away from the mouse instead of repeating. Yeah, that could work. So kind of take the center of the card and get the direction to the mouse and move it that way. Have you found it easier to work with a limited color palette to compare to a larger one? It's easier in the sense that you don't have to choose your own colors. That's just not the right thing to do. I'll just do scale root here. It's easier in the sense that you could choose your own colors, or you don't have to choose your own colors, because that can be very challenging in and of itself. And there's also, you know, if you're learning pixel art, there's always that question in the back of your mind of like, does my art look bad because the colors are bad, or does the art look bad because it's just bad, right? And so that using a limited color palette basically makes those issues moot. So if your art looks bad when you're using a color palette that you know looks good, well, you can't question the colors. Your art looks bad because you're either not using the colors properly or you just drew it poorly, right? So that helps too. And then it's also easier in the sense that, you know, having constraints actually does make things easier to some extent, because there are fewer decisions to make, right? There's less, I don't know how to describe it. Like having a constraint like that gives you a very clear boundary, a very clear set of rules, and that can like focus your thinking a little bit or focus your efforts rather than leaving it just like wide open possibilities. So that can be easy in a sense too, but yeah, it's also hard because then if you have a limited color palette, it's hard to draw things in the way that you think they should be drawn. You have to make clever use of the colors. So it's easier and harder. Depends on what your perspective is. Hello, Jackie Daytona. Welcome. Good to see you. Welcome to the bonus stream. I don't think the rotation is working that well. So, because some cards are too small for the rotation to make a big deal, and I don't want to rotate it too much because I think that would look weird. But I'm glad I tried that. Now we could try maybe moving the thing in the opposite direction of the mouse. So let's do center position. Well, let's do var direction is equal to center position dot direction to get global mouse position. And then we'll do direction here. Okay, and let's just see what happens there. I did that wrong. It should be global position dot direction to center position. How do I spawn a scene like a bullet? Hello, Jesus the best. I would recommend you refer to the Godot documentation on that. All those questions are answered in the Godot documentation. Do we like that? Hello, Bubblegum Lord. Welcome, welcome. Hello, Hilo. I'm new. I love Godot and C Sharp. Yes, me too. Me too. What about having the card be scaled up a bit and then scaling back down to normal size? Well, the problem with that is that, yeah, it's not going to look great. And I would have to change the scaling depending on the size of the card, because if I apply a constant scale, then a larger card is going to scale more than a smaller card, and so it's going to look inconsistent. I don't think this is working that well, but let's see. If I just change this a little bit. I could also change the curves. Right now this is linear, so I could say... I could do ease out. I don't know if it's going to be that noticeable over 0.1 seconds, but... this may not work. I always forget, what easing type do I want to use? Ease in cubic, I think? No. Ease out cubic. Let's do out here. In here. Out. Yeah, let's try that. We will give that a shot. I really don't know if this is going to work. Actually, that doesn't look too bad. Here, let's do this. Let's turn the tooltips off so we can see it easier. Actually, it doesn't look terrible. I think what I'll do is I'll make one minor change. 0.08. Make it just a tiny bit snappier. What do you think? Good or no? Now, one thing that's a little bit weird is that it plays the animation after I drop it too. So I'm probably going to want that not to be the case, because that looks... I mean, I guess that looks fine. Maybe it's okay, actually. It's just a little bit different than what I'm used to. But as soon as I place it, it has like a little bounce. Which actually... that doesn't look terrible, actually. It kind of almost feels like it's snapping into place, even though that was not the intent. A happy little accident indeed. It's like you accidentally push an item when trying to grab it. Yeah, I don't know if that's annoying or if that's cool. So it's not going to interrupt your input because the input areas are not moving. It's just the visuals that are moving. So there's no situation where like I would hover over this and it would like cause a mouse exit signal because it's shifting over. So it's just a purely visual thing. I don't know. What's the consensus here? Anyone have any opinions? Do we like it or not? I do like it when I drop it and it does that little animation, like that little snap into place. That feels a lot more organic. So I like that. It's just, do I want it on hover as well? Emerson likes it. Looks good. Hello, Ham RL, by the way. Welcome to the stream. I like it much more for placing, not so much hovering. Hello, Angela, by the way. Welcome back. It looks smooth NGL. Looks really fitting on slime specifically. Yeah, it does. Pretty smooth. Looks like rummaging around in a box. Looks good. Yeah, I mean, I think I understand entirely what Angela is saying here. It feels a little bit weird when hovering over it, but it does kind of add to that rummaging around an inventory feeling. And what you're not hearing too is I added new sound effects for card hovering. So I think that will add a lot to the feel as well. So you hear a little sound, like it's a very quick, like little kind of click sound effect. It sounds more like, actually what I did, I can't remember. What did I do for the hover sound effect? I think what I did, let me take a look. Card hover player, what sound effect is this? Tape cut. Yeah, okay. So I found this tape cut sound effect, which almost sounds like ripping paper, kind of. And what I did is I increased the speed of it by like 300%. So it's very snappy, very quick, but it also has this kind of like texture to it. And so with that sound effect in place, as well as this animation, I actually think that that's going to make this work. Okay, so we'll try it. If people don't like, I'll leave it in for the playtest, I think. And if people don't like this, then we can keep the animation for when something gets dropped, because I do like that. And we'll figure out a different way to handle hovering if we want to do a hover state or whatever. But I specifically like it when you're like in between two cards like that, like they kind of separate from each other, almost like your hand is kind of displacing them. That's kind of cool. Anyway, we'll try it and we'll see how it goes. I think the animation is definitely better than no animation. Yeah, I agree with that too. So even though the animation isn't perfect and it feels maybe a little bit weird at first, although it is starting to grow on me, I definitely think that having that there instead of just static cards it makes the game feel more gamey for sure. Okay, so we'll keep that. We'll keep that. Thank you everyone for your input. This type of feature that makes me sort my inventory. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing too. That's a good point. Is that since this is such an inventory heavy game. Hello, cat. You. Thank you. Since this is such a inventory heavy game, it has to feel really good to interact with the inventory. So that means like adding quality of life features, but it also makes it just like, it should feel nice and chunky and like satisfying to move things around. And I think that I accomplish that to a certain extent because of the sound effects that play when you move your inventory around. It sounds like, you know, items are actually being rearranged, but with those animations, hopefully that also helps. But yeah, it's a good point. I never really thought about that. Like, yeah, there's so much going on in the inventory that needs to feel very, very good. So yeah, I should definitely focus on that as much as possible, or as much as is reasonable. Okay, play hover animation on hover. Wow. You're telling me the hover animation plays on hover? No way. That's crazy. All right, so that was successful, I think. All right, now we're gonna do some boring bugs. Strap in, everybody. We're gonna do some boring bugs, but I promise if we get through these bugs, then I will do a new card or something, because that would be fun. Anyway, make recenter camera, click on release so map panning still works. So the problem here is that I added this new recenter camera button. So if I go out here, that here, now if I'm still scrolling or I want to scroll and I'm looking elsewhere and I accidentally grab the map here, oops, recentered, right? So that's kind of annoying. I think this will be an easy fix. I'm not sure though, but I think the solution is in this clickable control here, I can do a click on release instead. So click on release and then enabled mouse filter to pass. I think those are the two things that I need to do. So what that will do is when I click down on it, it will pass that input event. Oh wait, maybe this won't work. No, it will. It will pass that input event through to the camera panning code. And when I release, it's not there, right? So as soon as I start panning the map, it gets disabled again. So I click and drag, that goes away. But if I just click and release, that will recenter. So yeah, I highly recommend getting familiar with the Godot input system and how the events propagate through the tree, because knowing that ahead of time can make the development of your game a lot easier. You definitely don't want to be in a situation where you've already got your scene structures in place and you didn't give any thought into the input order, and now you've got like events flying all around the tree that you need to coordinate somehow. I had that problem with Gunforged and it was a nightmare. So yeah, definitely spend some time trying to get the input logic down in terms of how Godot handles it, because that can help you structure your scenes in a way that makes it more sensible to handle inputs like this. That would be my advice to you, unsolicited advice. Wild idea, but how about making the recenter button return to the last position the player looked at when clicking it at the player location? So you can quickly switch between the last position and the player position for route planning. Making the recenter button return to the last position the player looked at when clicking it at the player location. So you can quickly switch between the last position and the player position for route planning. I see, yeah. So having some way to go back to where you were. Yeah, that's an interesting idea, and I could see how that would be useful. Yeah, I could see how that. Let me write that down. I'm going to write this as like an idea in here, because that is like a quality of life thing. I'm not going to do it for this playtest, but that is something interesting to think about. Enable or give a way to return the camera to the last looked at position for route planning purposes. Oh, now you're being sweet, cat? Now you're being very nice? Is that how it works? You are an adorable cat. Purr into the mic. They want to hear you purr. Okay. Player position for route planning, yeah. All right, what's the next one? Map tooltip is not ignoring mouse events. This is an easy one too. So I found a problem where if I go into the map here, so cute. Hello, 22 no woman. Hello, how are you doing? So if I do this, how did I do this actually? Oh yeah, so you see this? You see how that's just going crazy? So the problem is the tooltips have logic to prevent them from going off screen, but the problem is I didn't properly set the tooltip to ignore mouse events. So it's popping up, it's causing the mouse exit signal on the node, which is causing the tooltip to just disappear, which is causing the mouse enter signal to hit the node, which is causing the tooltip to appear, and so it's like this weird loop. Fortunately, that should be relatively easy to fix. I am actually shocked that I haven't addressed this before. So I'm going to try to use Godot's fancy thing here. There's this new mouse behavior recursive disabled. Oh wait, did I do that right? Why did they... I don't know why they called it disabled and enabled. Like, that's so confusing. Inherits the mouse behavior recursive from the parent. Mouse behavior disabled. Prevents the control from receiving mouse input. Right. So why is behavior recursive not just say ignored? Why do you have two different ways of saying the same thing? Mouse behavior enabled allows the control to receive mouse input depending on the mouse filter. This can be used to ignore the parent's mouse behavior recursive. Oh, I see. Yeah, that's just confusing to me. But anyway, I can instead of having to set the mouse filter ignore on all these nodes, this behavior recursive should disable it on every node, every descendant node. So let's see if that works. Yeah, that works. Now, I guess there's a separate issue of like, you can't see the node while you're hovering it, but I don't really feel like addressing that. I guess in this situation, what I would do is probably just shift the tooltip to be on the other side of the mouse. I wonder if that would be easy to do. Let me see if that's an easy fix, and then I'll decide what to do. Update tooltip position. If desired position dot x is greater than get viewport size dot x minus 128. Then we're going to do desired position is equal to dot x is equal to mouse position dot x minus tooltip size minus offset. I wonder if that much is going to work. Let's see. So I'll just put the tooltip on the other side of the mouse. Yeah, that's fine. I think this offset probably doesn't need to be there because the mouse cursor, the click point is in the top left corner of the mouse cursor. So the mouse cursor is like what, 12 pixels wide or 16 pixels wide or something like that. So the offset needs to be different when it's on the right side of the mouse versus the left side. Yeah, I think that works. Now, one thing that I don't like is that these offsets are different. This tooltip offset is different than this tooltip offset. Why is that? Vector 2.1 times 16. Let me look up my card tooltip and see what that offset is. I should probably just have like a global constant for this kind of offset. Let me guess, I used a magic number in here, didn't I? Update tooltip position. Oh, interesting. Is there a reason why I can't do that here? Update tooltip position. Oh, wait a minute. Oh no. Panel container dot update tooltip position. Why does this not work? Can I use this? I made an extension method precisely for managing tooltips. So I wonder why that doesn't work. Why didn't I not use that here? Let's see. Oh, that tooltip is way too large. Why is the tooltip large? I guess I'm just setting the size outside of this update tooltip position, but I don't know why I couldn't just do it inside of here. I don't know. Is there a reason why I'm not doing that? YOLO control.size is equal to vector 2.0. We're just going to YOLO this. and hopefully it doesn't break anything. Yeah, let's see what that does. And while we're at quality of life stuff, how about a way to visually filter nodes on the map or mark them? I need enchantment node filter for enchantment node visually mark them. Instead of looking around the map until you find what you need, I found myself frequently looking for artifact nodes, but they're rather rare, and because they are all the same color, it's hard to find a specific node in the noise. Yeah, that's a good thing to point out. I'm imagining something like a radial menu with all the nodes, select what you want, desired nodes on the map are highlighted. Sorry for the wall of text. No, I think that's a good idea. Add find node quality of life feature. How that's implemented, I don't know. I think maybe like a GTA style waypoint system could be cool, where if you found a node, I mean, I know that doesn't solve the problem you're thinking, which is just like, hey, I don't want to have to scour the map. I just want to be shown where the nodes are. But in addition to that, perhaps I could do like a little highlight that shows you the shortest path to the node that you're going after, so you don't have to keep looking ahead on the map. So yeah, there's some opportunities there, I think, but definitely like something that will highlight the nodes for you that you're looking for. I think that would be very useful. Okay, the tooltips should now be consistent. Let me just make sure I didn't break the card tooltips either. Yeah. Okay, so now the tooltip paddings and positionings are all consistent. And the behavior is consistent too, so that if the tooltip were to go off the side of the screen, it will flip to the other side. And so we won't end up with that problem anymore of the tooltip covering the control or the event node. Cool. Okay, fix various tooltip issues. All right, the last one that we have to do here. Bird decoration should only spawn while in the second region. This one is going to be hard, but there's this bird scene that I have that gets spawned in the map. This is a very minor thing, but map decoration placer. We've got this bird timer here. When the bird timer finishes, it spawns a bird near the player position. So what I want this, I only want this to do this if the current region is region number 2 or region number 1. Because if you get into the mountain region, there shouldn't be birds there necessarily. It's super minor, but I'm just going to do this anyway. Let's change the bird timer so that it's happening a little bit quicker. 0.1 and 0.5. And then I can see how this works. So I think what I can do is I can do game events dot instance dot connect game events dot signal name dot notoriety region entered, callable from int on notoriety region entered. Private void on notoriety region entered into region ID. And I'll just store that, I guess. Private int current notoriety region. Does this auto start this auto start. So I'm going to get rid of auto start on these things. Pause effects. So we'll leave that there. We'll do the bird timer. Otherwise, if current notoriety region equals 0, we'll do the eye timer. Okay, and then the eye here. Okay, anyway, on ready, we'll do resume effects. Okay, let's see what that does. So this should stop spawning the birds if I'm not in the bird valid regions. So I should see quite a few birds popping up. There's one bird, there's another bird. Public void. I think I need an update effects here. If current notoriety region is equal to 2, let's do greater than or equal to 2. We're going to do bird timer dot stop. If current notoriety region is greater than 0, eye timer dot stop. So when we enter the notoriety region, we're going to want to set current notoriety region equals region ID, and then we're going to update effects as well. Where is this resume effects called? Resume effects, game map. I think that should work. Now the way I've been testing this is I go to my seeded run, my run map generator, and I test this by just doing 30 and 30 here. Let's go try it. Hello, Ninja Link. Welcome, welcome. GTA 6 collab. We have a CJ card then. What about a tower node reveals a selection of the map and can provide routes to node types like shops? Yeah, so routes to like nodes that are still hidden in the fog of war is a good idea. That could work. That could work. The obelisk does reveal nodes within a certain radius, so that's a way of increasing your view radius as well, but... Okay, let's see if the birds stop after I enter this. Oh no, the birds will be playing in the second region as well. So I should still see birds being spawned. Yeah, there's a bird there. Okay, so let's go to the mountain region and we'll see the birds hopefully stop. This is such a minor thing, but I was like testing it earlier and I was in the mountain region. There was a bird flying over the mountain. I was like, wait a minute. That doesn't seem right. But this is good because like I need to set up this framework because I'm going to have a bunch of different effects specific to certain regions. So like, I don't know if you can notice it. The map is probably too small here, but... So sometimes in these clusters of trees, there will be leaves that come out of the trees like particles. Anyway, the bird should stop here soon. Okay, there should be no birds now. Yeah, no birds. But I don't know if you can see it that well on the screen, but there's snow particles now for the third region. So the third region is going to be like a... I've got some wind ambience and also snow particles falling for the third region. So it's supposed to be like snow-capped mountains, you know? If I go back here, the snowflake should stop and the bird should resume. I don't see any birds. because I forgot to restart them. Okay. When is that notoriety region entered called? I gotta make sure this is in the proper order too. Fade in, resume effects. Okay, that should be fine. The sequencing is a little bit weird, but it should be all right. Also, I want to make sure I didn't break the eye timer, so I should be able to see some eyes popping up. Maybe down here? Maybe not. All right, I'll have to check that separately, I suppose. That's a lot of burbs, yeah. It's a lot of burbs. Gosh dang it. I also updated the resurrection sound effects. So that was a sound effect that was missing. Yeah, I did a lot of work on this today. Ooh, is that the explosive flask? So I should still see birds. Yeah, there's some birds there. So let's go to the mountain region. Oh, that's unfortunate. There's a minor bug here. If dragging a single choice card on the edge, dragging a combat reward card on the edge, it triggers a dim even after it starts dragging. That's a bug. We'll have to fix that. Explosive flask, please add the holy hand grenade for the enemy faction as well. It's only fair. Yep. I have to do that, I guess. All right, there should be no more birds. But there's snow, but if I go here, the bird should start respawning. Yeah, there's a bird. So I just want to make sure that these transitions are managed. No more birds. And if I go back down here, the eyeballs should start up again, although I don't know if those are even working right now. So let's put the bird timer back. So this is 5 and 15. And we'll do the same thing for the eye timer. We'll do 0.1 and 0.5. I just want to see if that still works. There's an eye. There's an eye right there. And there's some right there. There's a bunch over there. Okay, so now I'll just make sure that those stop. When I do this. Azir, what? What? Dang cat. What? It's almost his dinner time. That's why he's being especially annoying right now. You're too chunky. Look at this chunk. Do you see? You're too chunky. You're too chunky. We gotta get you Ozempic. Get you Ozempic. Ugh. Okay, are there any more eyes spawning? So I don't see any more eyes spawning, but now if I go back to here, I should start seeing the eyes spawn again. Yeah, there they are. Okay, cool. So that's what I wanted to make sure that was working. I'll put that back though, 3 and 8. Okay. So we turned off auto start. We don't want to keep that change. Go away. Okay. Fix birds spawning in inappropriate locations. So, it's a small thing, but that's part of the effort of like what I'm trying to do, which is, I got to make the game feel more gamey, make the world feel more alive, add a bunch of ambience, add a bunch of particles, sound effects. All of that is going to go a long way in the presentation of the game. So it is important stuff. Those details, they seem small and they kind of are small, but they do make a difference. So I want to make sure that those are properly working. Anyway, this is a new bug. I don't want to fix this one because that's going to be a nightmare. So we're going to move on to doing some fun stuff now. So everyone put your ideas in the chat for what you want me to work on in terms of like a new card or a new artifact, whatever. Put your ideas in the chat, what abilities you want to see, and we'll see what we can do. We'll see if we can get something done. I love the animations my game has when going to various different menus. Nice, yeah. It's a good feeling when your game starts to come together. Hello, Everone. Ozempic Kitty. So you could spawn specific decoration depending on where you're out in the map. Is that determined by the notoriety region? Yeah. So the way the map decorations work is they're segmented by notoriety region. And then the effects that play, like the birds that are dynamically spawned or the eyeballs, those are... So the birds work a little bit differently. They just spawn within a certain radius of the player. So I just turn the birds off when the player gets to the mountain region, so they just stop spawning. But the birds will be able to spawn near you for as long as you are, for as long as you're in notoriety region 0 or 1, so the first two regions. But yeah, the actual placement of these decorations, these are segmented by region as well. So like all this trees and stuff, this type of tree is placed in region 1, and then this type of tree is placed in region 2. I can also place scenes based on the region. So you can see this windmill here. This can only appear in the second region. There's leaf particles. I don't know if you could see those very well. There's a little campfire here, which is hard to see. But so yeah, I have a system in place for putting specific decorations in specific regions. But some of the things like the birds and the eyeballs, those are the eyes in the forest. Those are a little bit different. And as of right now, I actually don't have any like dynamic scenes for the third region. So that's something that I need to do. I think I generally need to revisit the art for the third region. I think the mountains are okay, but like these villages are a little bit weird looking. So, and this like cathedral thing. So anyway, yeah, I have to spend more time in the third region for sure, but for now it's all right. I think the first and second regions look much better than the first region. Or the third region, I mean. Anyway. Card that exhausted itself. Okay, well, I'll read that when I get back. Anyway, I'm going to take a quick 3-minute break. I have to feed the cat. But when I come back, we will try to make a new card. So I'll be right back in just 3 minutes. Hello, everybody. I'm back. All right, so Ninja Link says a card that exhausts itself and project deal 1 poison to self and project this to another adjacent card. Oh. So a card that like chains projection. A card that chains projection and like exhausts your board gradually. Interesting. That is a very cool idea, and I think it's perfectly doable with the system that I have. Not to brag or anything, but... Do I have an Iron Maiden card? I do. I do have an Iron Maiden card. We're actually getting to the point where, like, I almost have, like, all of the obvious stuff, right? I've got skeletons, I've got weird abominations, I've got, like, you know, torture devices. What a lovely evening to be discussing torture devices. Board configuration editor. So if I go to my board configuration editor, we can take a peep at what's going on here. Could take a peep at it. I wonder why this takes so long to load up. I think my card instantiation takes way too long. So I'm gonna need to figure out what to do about that. But where's the Iron Maiden? There's the Iron Maiden. So that's the Iron Maiden there. The field mouse is still so cute. I need my beauty sleep. Take care, everyone. See you all tomorrow. All right. Well, I will not be here tomorrow, Emerson. I'm sorry. I have a big day tomorrow, so will not be streaming, but I will be back at it on Saturday or tomorrow afternoon, something like that. But have a good night, and I'll see you in the next stream whenever that happens. I'm kind of a good programmer if I say so myself, yeah. So a card that chains some kind of exhaustion would be really, really interesting. Was that idea brought up when you were making the aberration card where you could have a card that is specifically used for alchemy to apply random abilities? Yeah, I mean, I think that would be more appropriate as a reagent, because I already have like reagents, which are cards that can only be used in alchemy. But I can definitely have it add a random ability for sure. Well, for sure maybe is a little bit too strong. I wonder how feasible it would be to get a list of all of the abilities in the game. Well, I mean, maybe the easier thing to do would be to instantiate a random card and then choose a random ability from it instead of having a whole list up front. That'd probably be the way to do it. Yeah, I could just instantiate a random ability, or a random card, grab an ability from it, and then add it. Yeah, that could work. Maybe a virus or something that spreads like a sickness. That works too. I was thinking like diseases spreading so the cards are always poisoning the user. Okay, so... But you said exhausted. 1 poison to self. So the card, unless I'm misunderstanding, the card you suggested exhausts itself and projects deal 1 poison to self. So it's a purely negative card? The original card exhausts. Right, but that's all negative, right? If it's just exhausting and also projecting poison to yourself. I mean, I guess you could use that in some cases, right? What's the card that I have that heals based on poison dealt? Do I have that? I need a better way of looking at my cards. Which one was it? Apply 1 poison for each time heal is applied. That's not the right one. Projects to an enemy card. Oh. That makes sense. So it projects an ability onto an enemy card, and then every time that ability executes, it projects itself to an enemy card again. That is interesting. How about a card that spawns copies of itself, so it splits up and causes the player to have to whittle down all the cards at the same time, or face constant regeneration? Not sure if that would fit in. Well, the cards don't individually have health. The health is with the board. So adding new cards to the board is basically just adding more abilities to your board. The cards themselves don't have health, so that's not necessarily something that would work in this game. Phone typing is hard. Do you have consider self wound archetype, deal damage to self and make yourself stronger by it? Yeah, I have the makings of that across several cards, but it's certainly not... It's not a playstyle that's like super well supported right now, but I do have the makings of that. Like for instance, the slime here. Where's the slime? Here. This slime deals 4 damage for each time damage was taken since last execution. So this is damage taken from any source. So you could inflict damage on yourself. And I actually think that this scales very well with the vampire fangs. Actually, that might scale too well with the vampire fangs, but YOLO. But yeah, so I do have the inklings of that, the makings of that. Really like to see a mummy or a sphinx, but I think that would be a little off the main theme. No, that could work. Mummy. So I've talked about this before, but I have a shop in the game, and the shop has a very Eastern theme. So he's got like a hookah there. He's dressed in vaguely Eastern garb. He's got a rug out with where he has his wares. And so the interesting thing that I was thinking of doing is having the shop offer cards that you can't get anywhere else except through the shop. And those could be like cards from the East, right? So they could be mummies, they could be sphinxes, they could be, you know, curved swords, right? To borrow a line from Skyrim. They could be kind of things like that, right? And so there's definitely an opportunity to do that. I just haven't got there yet. But I definitely think I kind of want to make a bunch of cards that are only available at the shop. And then when you go to the shop, maybe one of the options there is a shop exclusive card, right? I think that that's going to go a long way into increasing the replayability of the game, because you'll have your like normal pool of cards that you can get from rewards for combat and stuff, but then you'll have like these other ways to get cards that you may not be able to get every run, you know? Anyway, I do like the idea of having poison spread though. So now we got to come up with a theme for that. Maybe like a tapeworm or something. Some kind of parasite is a good idea. Maybe we'll do a tapeworm. Unrelated and sorry for changing topic, but would you recommend I take your survivor's course in 4.0 or can take it in 4.5.1 and not miss out on things that are different? There are slight differences, like there are some UI differences. The tile map system changed, although you can still use the version of the tile maps that we use in the course. I have a number of people who have gone through that course on the latest versions of Godot, and outside of a few lessons, it's largely the same. So you could definitely try it. If you want to be safe, you can download the original 4.0 version if you want, but a lot of people are taking it on 4.5 and having no issues, so. Sphinx has those hands that could fit on a similar grid that the cat does, but bigger. Right, yeah. Maybe a swarm of mosquitoes. I already have a mosquito swarm. But I was thinking maybe like a tapeworm or something. I really like the Egypt themed stuff. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it would be cool to include in the game. I agree. A sarcophagus. A tapeworm sounds cool and could be a large L shape. Yeah. Let me take a look. So I could make a new card shape for it. Two by two minus 1 0 2 2 by 2 minus 0 0 2 2 by 2 minus 1 1. So we could make it a 2 by 2. So I guess card creation tool. So we could use one of these L shapes here, but I could also make it longer. Like I'd have to make a new card type, new card for it, but it could be like three tall and 2 over or something. A 3 by 3 L. Tapeworm would be cool. Cool, because I was thinking about flagellant type of card, which scales how little HP or maybe negative status applied you have. A Z shape like in Tetris. How dare you be on this late? How dare. All right, let's try a big L then. We'll take Wugius' suggestion. We'll try a big 3 by 3 L. I don't know how that's going to look, but let's just go ahead and do it, and we'll try it out. Open file, assets, card, background. So we'll start with a 3 by 3. And then let's do, can I do a grid? Grid settings, 18 by 18. Okay, so what I'm gonna need to do is grab this and bring this over. I think that's how it's supposed to be. Yeah, that's right. No, that's not right. This will be thematically appropriate because tapeworms are very long. I think, is this how I'm doing it? Let me look at my other cards real quick. Yeah. I think that's right. Oh, I just saved over. Okay. Let's do 3 by 3 L for now. Save as. This is why we use version control. 3 by 3 L. Okay, save that. Okay. I'm going to need to resave this again, but before I forget, I'm going to undo this change. All right. So this is, I don't remember how to format this. So 2 by 2 minus 0x minus 1y. Okay, well, I think this is going to be 3 by 3 minus 1x 0y minus 2x 0y minus 1x 1y minus 2x 1y. Okay, I think that's it. And we're going to get rid of 3 by 3 L, delete that. Okay, let me stage this before I mess it up again. Then we need the border mask, so I'm going to create a new, I guess I'll duplicate this layer. Okay, so here, this is going to be filled in with white. And we'll remove all this here. Okay, so choose file. And then this is underscore border mask. Save it there. Export. And then I need the card mask, which I think would just be this. Yeah, it's just mask. I think that's correct. Okay, so let's then go ahead and create. Did it not do? It didn't do an import. It didn't do the mask. Why did it not import the mask? Why are you not importing the mask? There it goes. Okay, so now if I do card creation tool, I should be able to see this down here. Yeah, there we go. I'm gonna need to make this list longer, but that's right. Tapeworm. Create that. And now before I forget, let's do tapeworm here. Okay, so this is a 3x3 card, but the excluded cells are 1x, 0y, 2x, 0y, and then 1x, 1y, and 1x, or 2x, 1y. All right, I think that's correct. Tapeworm, let's do 13. This is a minion. This is going to be wild. Anyway, we'll close this, don't save. Let's go ahead and open up the tapeworm now. Okay. Load default palette. And now we're ready to go. 3x3L are too big. Why don't you use a tile set? I don't know how a tile set would help with these cards. Maybe it could, but I don't know. I'm just in favor of adding more rare shapes or things that fall outside the usual shapes that cards have. Yeah, for sure. It's a big L. I mean, tapeworms are long, so we're gonna have to... So it's just gonna be a very long, skinny thing, and maybe we'll thicken it up a little bit. I don't want to make it look like a snake, so I'm just trying to do the head a little bit differently. There we go. That should work. And then... Okay, and maybe we'll just shift this down a little bit. There we go. Does that look sufficiently creepy? I'm going to hop out and see if I can work on a game idea I got going in my head. Good luck and see you soon. Thanks for joining, Ataxic. And good luck on your game. Do you have a digital pen stylus or are you using the mouse for this kind of art? I'm using the mouse, yeah. I'm not that fancy, I just used my mouse. How should I feel about how I use Krita for pixel art? I don't know. I tried Krita or whatever it's called, and It was super laggy for some reason on my machine. I don't know if that's anyone else's experience, but it was just like unbearably laggy. I basically couldn't do anything with it. I don't think I would have used it for pixel art, but I was trying to use it as like a tool for creating YouTube thumbnails. Okay, cat, I get it. The cat is currently begging me to bury him in the blanket. So I'm gonna have to do that in just a second, but I'm trying to create little sections in the tapeworm because they are segmented. Okay, that might be okay. And then I'll add some additional stuff to it. Okay, let's see. Something like that. I think this be a little bit different. Okay. You know what I might do is I might just... Well, no, it's probably fine, actually. That's probably all right. Tapeworms have rectangular segments. Not sure if there's enough room to make that look good, though. Yeah, I think it's probably all right. Anyway, it has a bunch of features. You're always one step ahead of me. Yeah. I don't know if I was able to get across the fact that it was segmented properly, but, you know, we don't need to be super anatomically correct here. I mean, I guess I could make that darker there, and maybe I could add... Maybe I could just add some darker segmentations here. Maybe that would help. So if I just do that kind of throughout the art, that might be sufficient. I don't think I like this one here. I think that's probably all right. I mean, I'm kind of getting quit while I'm ahead territory, especially over here. It's hard to add more detail because there's just so few pixels to work with. So not so noticeable the segmentation over here, but I do have some segments there and there. And I might actually move this one. I don't know if I like that one there. Maybe I'll try... Oh yeah, that looks better. I like that better. Okay. So we got some segmentation. They're not even lengths and they don't... I mean, this is supposed to be a segment here, but you can't really tell. I mean, maybe I could make it work. Yeah, maybe that works. It looks a little bit soft over here, though. I think that's better. Okay. Okay, I think we're in quit while I'm ahead territory, so I think we'll say that art is fine. Tapeworm looks very magical. It's kind of magical. I'm just going to make some changes to this part here. I think that looks a little bit better, maybe. Actually, okay, I think that's fine. All right. I said quit while I'm ahead, and I'm still working on it. All right, anyway. The worm is curled around a wooden stick and slowly extracted from the patient. Oh, wait. The rod of... Oh, I didn't read this. The rod of Asclepius is frequently used as a symbol for hospitals or other apothecaries, shows the treatment for tapeworm infection. Interesting. Okay. How about adding a loop somewhere so the worm fills the space a bit more? We could. I don't know. I'm kind of happy with the way that it is. I mean, maybe if I tried to add a loop up here, that could work. Maybe I can make it work without too much effort. Something like that. How's that? Decent? Yeah, that's Cap. I like a fat worm. It's a snake, not a worm. Oh no, it's not a snake. The green is just shading, right? It makes the tapeworm look like crystals on it and stuff. Yeah, it's just shading. Looks good. You like it? At least on some parts. I'm convinced the green is crystals. Looks good. Yeah, I mean it's not perfect, but I think it turned out all right. It's not terrible. It's not terrible. Maybe the shading is a little bit too heavy over here, but anyway, we'll roll with it. I mean, I could also make it use orange and red instead. But since it does poison, I'm going to use like the poison associated colors. Anyway. So that's fun. Didn't think I would be drawing a tapeworm tonight, but there we are. Now I wonder how this is going to look. Yeah, it's probably not going to... Oh, that's all right. I have some visual effects where this card is probably not going to look that great, but that's all right. All right, we export the tapeworm. Add tapeworm art and a new shape. Now, the thing that I'm worried about is, let's see. Settings. Tapeworm. Let's see what happens. I wonder how my mouse is going to work with this. It did not get added. Cannot access a disposed object. The given key was not present in the dictionary. Oh, I wonder if my card registry doesn't... If a adjusted file name contains dash split.last. Oh. I think I just did this wrong. I think this needs to be 1. Oh, that's probably not going to work either. Wait, did I do this wrong? Hold on a second. Do I have cards that have multiple missing? Exclude cells, regex. This is the first time that I have a card with multiple cells missing. So I guess my code is not properly handling that. Is that correct? Oh, the card statistics tool isn't going to work either, is it? Oh, maybe it did. These conditional breakpoints never work, but let's do exclude cells portion. Let's do adjusted file name. How do I do this? Actually, let's do a breakpoint here. Edit breakpoint. Exclude cells portion. Dot contains this. Okay. I don't know if that's going to work. It looks really nice. Thank you, Hilo. No, your drawing looks like a tapeworm for sure. The rod of Asclepius, I meant. Oh, I see, I see. For sure, a snake on a staff. Gotcha. Occupied cell. So, yeah, it's just... why do these conditional breakpoints never work? Hold on a second. Why are my C# conditional breakpoints not working in VS Code? I don't know why, unless I'm just doing the conditional wrong, but why are you showing me settings for JavaScript? Launch.json has the correct debugger type. See, now I don't trust this thing. Core CLR, core CLR, core CLR, core CLR. Try editing the breakpoint, use the debug edit breakpoint command. Check the debug console for any messages. That's not helpful. That's not helpful at all. Hold on a second, I gotta answer this. Text. And then we'll figure out what the heck's going on here. Okay. I don't know why this isn't working. Now it looks like a ribbon. Probs exaggerate the head. I think it's fine. Your 2x3 Ls have multiple excluded cells, I believe. I wonder if you just got the naming for the excluded cells wrong. It's possible. I guess I can check that. So what should be happening is this first group, this 3x3, that's the total bounding box of the card. And then anything after the first minus here is all the excluded cells. So I think there's a problem in my code for sure, because what it's doing is it was doing .last before. So it was doing so adjusted file name split first. So we got adjusted file name replacing .png. So the adjusted file name should be 3x3 minus, 1x, 0y, whatever. So the old code is doing last. So this is assuming that there's only one excluded cell. So it's just grabbing the last portion of the string. Oh, I see. So it's splitting on every. Oh, I see. It's splitting on every dash. So, and then it's only getting the first one. Okay. So I need to do split excluding the first. What is the modern C# syntax for getting every element after the first? I need to do one like that. And then do I need to join it again? Like I should probably join it again. Dot join string dot empty. So we're basically taking all of the, so we're getting each component. Well, actually, split. I guess I don't need to do the join here. I could just do for each var portion and excluded cell portion. Yeah, that should work, I think. Let's see what happens. My game uses AI now, yeah. Wouldn't X2, Y2 be the bottom right corner? Yes, do I have that wrong? Yeah, you're right, but it's, yeah, that's not in the file name. I think the file name is right, so I may have misspoken, but hey, look at that, we got a tapeworm. So one thing that's weird about this is that the mouse is centered in the center of the bounding box, and so as you're dragging it, it has like a weird position. So I'm probably going to have to address that. Probably the drag root should be like the bottom left corner or something, but then I need to do a bunch of math to figure out how to get that offset to work properly. So I'm not going to worry about that just yet, but so that was the thing that I was a little bit worried about, but it's okay. We should still be able to place cards here. So this one can be a little bit weird. I'll have to address that. Let me write that down. Probably won't do that for the playtest, but dragging big L-shaped cards like tapeworm has weird drag anchor position. I don't want to mess with that system right now before the playtest because that's kind of sensitive because there's a bunch of math that has to be done. So like, you know, I want the visual location of the card to be like on the mouse somewhere, but then that has to correspond into the actual positions that you're trying to place it at. And I just have to take a look at that logic and see like what's going on there, but anyway, it works though. That's the important thing. And we do that. Is connecting signals manually impossible with C#? Godot doesn't put things in the script for you like it does with GDScript, but I thought you would at least be able to have pre-made function or manually connected signal. Yeah, you could do that. Yeah, you can definitely do that. So if it wasn't working, then you may have been doing something wrong, or maybe you just misunderstand how it's supposed to be used. But yeah, signal connections work just fine. So like drawer UI, you can use the event style signal connection. So like these are signals here. So run manager, event entered, map entered. In order to do a signal, you have to name the function a very specific thing. Like you have to mark it with the signal attribute, but it also has to have event handler at the end. If you don't do those two things, Godot will not register it as a signal in C#. So you have to do those two things. And I think you actually get a warning if you don't put event handler. Yeah, see. So you need to have signal, wanted level changed, event handler, that's your custom signal. And then, you know, you just connect like normal. And it works the same for the built-in signals, right? So if I do run manager dot tree entered plus equals on tree entered, right? That's the way you do it. You can also use the other signal connection method. So like in my tutorial guide here, you can do dot connect and then pass in the signal name and then the callable you want to connect to that signal. That's another way you can do it. You can add a target point for each card that snaps the position of the mouse cursor instead of managing it in code. Yeah, so what I would probably do is I'd probably define a an offset for like the mouse anchor position. That's not the hard part. The hard part is getting that to work properly, like all the offsets that are being added up while dragging the card to be matched up properly to where the card is actually going to be dropped. And then that also has to work with the card displacement system. So it has to know that this card is hovering over this position with all of these offsets, and that has to apply to where you drop the card, but also has to apply to the card displacement. So there's just a bunch of ways that can go wrong. And so I'm not too concerned about actually defining the point where it should anchor to the mouse. That's the easy part. The hard part is getting everything to work smoothly with that new anchor point. The L shape is inverted for a different card. The anchor needs to be in the upper right corner. Right, so what I'll probably do is I'll probably just say what, like an anchor cell offset, right? So, well, maybe that won't work either. I'll have to think about how to define the point, but yeah. Having a point node for each card that indicates the grab spot would be easy to modify for each shape. Yeah, and I don't have, like, the cards are not nodes until they get created as nodes during the game, so I don't have a scene that I can go and edit and say, here's the grab point. So I have to define the grab point as a piece of data within the card resource, and then that has to be translated over into how the card operates when I drag it. So it's possible. I'm not worried about getting that to work. It's just it's a little bit too risky of a change to make before the playtest, that's all. Because I think the game is relatively bug-free as it stands, so I don't want to start messing with these core systems which could like soft lock the game or break the game. I updated this. Let's just do reload window. Anyway, so my card registry is working now. So that's great. So let me write down, I unfortunately will have to go for the night. I was hoping to be able to get into the ability, but that's okay. Let's do exhaust self, project, deal self poison damage to enemy card. This card projects the same ability to other cards. So I just want to make sure that I write that ability down, and then I also need the flavor text. Okay, I will put, you know what I'll do? I'll put this one here as a to-do. Well, maybe I should just... I'll have to go through and like prioritize this backlog, but that's all right. Okay, anyway. So yeah, I mean, you guys got to see the process of what it looks like to add a new card shape to the game. All in all, it's relatively easy, aside from that new change I had to make to support cards with multiple missing cells. It was relatively smooth, so I'm happy about that. Just gonna have to do some things with respect to the mouse positioning here and whatnot, but that's all, those are all fixable things. The most important thing is that it is working. Have you given a for sure date on the playtest? Yes, the end of the month. So on or before January 31st is when the playtest will be going live for Patreon members on or before January 31st for 1 week. And then after the Patreon 1 week period, it will be open to the public. So anyone who wants to join will be able to do so for a week. And then after that week, the playtest will be shut down. All of the access will be revoked. And then, you know, I'll just develop until the next playtest. Signal plus equals function is something I never thought I would see, but I also realized that I had to rename the signal function since it was still in snake case. Oh, gotcha. Gotcha. Okay, well, that's it for the stream tonight. Thank you everyone for watching. Thank you for being here. Very much appreciate hanging out with you all and for all of your ideas. I think, yeah, the tapeworm is basically your idea. Like, somebody suggested the tapeworm big L card was Wooius's idea, and then Ninja Link suggested the ability, so I'll get that ability done at some point. Maybe I'll save that for the next stream so we can just have fun with that one. But yeah, all the ways you could support me are linked in the description below. Of course, definitely consider supporting on Patreon if you're interested, but even just like wishlisting Alchemortis, liking the video, subscribing to the channel, all those things help as well. And you can also join the Discord. The Discord is totally free. Come and hang out if you want. And yeah, have a great night, everyone. Have a great morning wherever you are. And I will see you in the next one. Okay, bye-bye.